Yeah, definitely. I think it's a different sort of vibe, isn't it? It's definitely much more of a horror movie, and the atmosphere is darker. We're definitely trying to give back to the fans of the second game more than anything, Resident Evil 2, which was very dark and intense, and is why our movies are so different to the previous ones. We're definitely taking it in a different direction.
I think horror was a big part of what Johannes wanted to do with the film. It's a big part, obviously, of what the games are about. They're the originator of the horror video game genre. So I think that's what I think was important to everyone involved in the film, and so I think that's what that's how we started.
Yeah, again, I agree with what Avan says. I mean, that's one of the things that I really loved about when I first met Johannes, was he's saying he wants to take it back to that kind of horror element. Because for me, when I first played Resident Evil, I was like, oh my God, I'm like playing a horror movie here. And it's that feeling of being in control of a horror movie that is so intoxicating, and it keeps you on play and look for that next scare. And that's what this movie kind of does, I think.
No, I think it is a horror movie first, and I actually think the games were horror games first. Like the action was obviously there to survive, but the games were horror games and scary games, and I always played it in the dark, in a quiet room, and that was the experience I wanted for it. I think that's why going to see this in the movie theater is so exciting. You can be in this dark room, the sound design and the score and the music in the movie is so important. And I mean, I agree with Johannes. When I read it, I thought the tone was so spot on for an adaptation of the games.
I think the zombies are the worst because they're still kind of human. That always scares me, when something looks like you should know what it is and then it's not. Especially the different stages of zombies, and they're fast. Our zombies are very fast and they're very loud. And so that to me is definitely the most terrifying.
My first one was the original game back in the 90s. And I remember it being the first time I remember thinking, like, this is really odd. I'm like scared, like I'm watching a movie. Like I remember feeling those kind of tensions that you get from watching a horror movie. And it was the first time I'd ever played a game. I suppose the one that's similar to that would have been like Doom on one of those, but Resident Evil really was the first one where I was like, I feel that same feeling. And so yeah, I don't know how old I was, but maybe like 10, 11, 12, somewhere around that kind of age. Shows my age now, doesn't it? Jeez.
Oh, I mean, I'm a big fan of the games. I grew up playing Resident Evil. It's one of my first childhood gaming memories. It's playing in my basement in the dark, dogs jumping through the window and just scaring the hell out of me. And I think what's really nice about Welcome to Raccoon City is it's an adaptation of Resident Evil 1 and 2. It gives the fans something that's a little more in line with the games that they played. And that's not to say I didn't love the Mila Jovovich ones. I think those movies are awesome. I think Mila's a badass. My buddy Sean Roberts played Wesker in them. I've seen every single one of them. But I'm just excited for the fans to see something that's a little more in line with the games. And I think if you grew up playing the games, you're going to lose your mind watching this movie. And if you didn't, you still get a really cool, fun 90s, action zombie movie that is a lot more of a horror movie than people expect it to be.
What the?
We
gotta get out of here.
We're gonna take Umbrella down.